who is here to speak on understanding hypnotherapy. I will be able to answer any questions or at least moderate the questions that are in the chat. So if you have a question during her presentation, please do put the information or the question into the chat, and we will do a Q&A at the end of her presentation. But I'm really excited for Valerie to talk about what hypnotherapy is and how hypnotherapy can supplement counseling and what's the differences and common myths about hypnotherapy. So, Valerie, I'm going to let you take it away. If you have any questions, just let me know.
All right, thank you. All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for attending my Facebook Live presentation on understanding hypnotherapy. My name is Valerie Talbert, and I am a student intern obtaining my Master's of Mental Health Counseling degree, and I'm currently doing my internship with Usawa Wellness Services. And I am a master practitioner of hypnosis, a master practitioner of NLP, and a master practitioner of mental and emotional release. And we're going to touch on hypnosis today and a little bit of NLP and mental and emotional release as well. So some of the topics that we're going to cover today include the history of hypnosis, a brief history of hypnosis, some of the terms that are associated with hypnosis, such as trance, styles of hypnosis, conscious and unconscious mind, etc. We're going to discuss how hypnosis can help you, some of the techniques and tools that hypnotherapists use in therapy sessions, how to prepare for your hypnosis session, and as well. So first, we have a brief history of hypnosis. And it's impossible to say where hypnosis actually came from, but it is agreed that from the time mankind developed speech, there's probably some sort of practice around state. And hypnosis is not a modern concept at all. Early practices were linked with a belief in religion, magic, and the occult. Egyptian hieroglyphics do exist that depict individuals experiencing hypnosis as parts of rituals, and Egyptian priests would hypnotize people to treat illnesses using hypnotic suggestions. So, also in classical Greece, worshippers went to temples to invoke Hypnos, the goddess sleep, who brought them healing and prophetic dreams. So Hypnos, and that's who's pictured here on the screen, is where the term hypnosis comes from. So next we have a couple of notable pioneers of hypnosis. The first one we have here is Franz Mesmer. Franz did crowd-pleasing acts and had success in healing surrounding the concepts of animal magnetism. And what animal magnetism is, the use of planets, stars, and the moon, and how they affect humans and animals through magnetic energy. And the term mesmerize comes from his work. So next we have James Braid, and he's a surgeon that initiated the legitimization of hypnosis with British and European medical professionals. So he began the study and understanding of hypnotic trance and provided information to give the hypnotic healing process a more scientific basis. So he invented the term hypnotism to discredit mesmerism, which moved the world away from the animal magnetism towards hypnosis. The next person that's notable is Hippolyte Bergheim. He emphasized the psychological nature of hypnosis, moving it further away from the occult and magical associations and more towards a psychological and medical model. And then from 1808 to 1839, there were various philosophers, physicians, psychologists that contributed to the study of hypnosis, including Sigmund Freud. So Freud was very interested in, but later abandoned hypnosis after he had a few failures in getting people to open up and discuss traumatic events of the past. So instead, he chose to focus on avoidance of pain and how the mind represents difficult feelings. So Freud's work and preference for psychoanalysts over hypnotherapy dealt a blow to hypnosis for a brief time. So then we have Milton Erickson. So that's who's pictured here on the screen. He resurrected and reinvented modern hypnosis and is considered to be the father of modern hypnotherapy. So Erickson was a psychiatrist that developed a conversational style of hypnosis, which is termed permissive hypnosis. And finally, we have Ernest Rosny. He was a psychotherapist and a teacher who focused on the mind-body connection and healing and how hypnosis can influence the body at a cellular level. So next we have the difference between hypnosis and hypnotherapy. So note that hypnosis is a state of mind connected to deep relaxation, narrowed focus, and increased suggestibility. Hypnosis is an intermediate state between sleep and wakefulness. So hypnosis can be likened to the state that you're in when you act intuitively instead of intellectually. Hypnotherapy is hypnosis used for therapeutic processes or purposes. Hypnotherapy applies the technique of hypnosis to encourage your unconscious mind to find solutions to problems. So hypnotherapists use hypnosis to provide hypnotherapy. So I want to make a little note about stage hypnosis. A lot of people, that's mostly what they associate hypnosis to be, is what they've seen on TV shows or on YouTube. And note that stage hypnosis is not the same thing as hypnotherapy. So it's not a way to receive help for your problems or achieve your aspirations. It's a stage act to get laughs and with no attention to your personal care or needs. So many people walk away from these experiences unaffected, but some people have actually suffered emotional problems afterwards with stage hypnosis. So the next topic is, what exactly is trance? Well, trance is a state of mind that involves a selective focus of attention. You're in a natural state of trance several times per day, usually when you're relaxing. So some examples of trance could be you being fully involved in reading a book, zoning out while you're exercising, becoming anxious or fearful about an upcoming event. And the levels of trance include a light trance, which is your eyes closed, relaxed face muscles, a deepened breathing. We have a medium trance, which is your head and body slump or reduced awareness of surroundings. You have slower responses, and it's a deepening of the light trance state. And then finally, we have deep trance, which is the deepening of the medium trance, where you have a deeper abdominal breathing. And then finally, it's not here on the screen, but there's another state of trance called somnambulism, which is a rare trance state in which a hypnotized person may experience sensations as if they are awake. An example would be sleepwalking. So this state is counterproductive, though, because the individual is too deep in trance to retain the hypnotherapy suggestions. Next, let's talk about the conscious and unconscious, what the differences are. Conscious is the part of yourself and part of your mind that thinks quantitatively using words, numbers, and logical and sequential thinking. The unconscious mind uses images, memories, feelings, intuition, dreams, and abstract, non-sequential thinking. And so note that there is a spectrum of consciousness. As you can see here on the screen, the alpha and the theta stages of our brain waves, that's where hypnosis is. Oops. Oh no. And it's important to note that the conscious and the unconscious mind are not like two sides of a coin. There's not an either or aspect to it, but only shades of gray. And it's also important to note that the term subconscious mind is often interchanged with the term conscious mind, but they are two separate things. The subconscious mind is part of a conscious process that's not actively in focal awareness. So you can think of the unconscious mind as an operation of sorts of your brain, and your subconscious mind as more of a state of consciousness. So next we have, I'm going to discuss two styles of hypnosis. We have an old style, which is more authoritarian. And this approach is an authoritarian approach to the individual. So this is where the hypnotherapist commands a patient into trance. And it's very monotone, very artless, and it's a repetitive approach to a trance induction. And there's an absence of therapeutic relationship between the therapist and the patient in this approach. It's more of like a doctor knows best type of approach where there's just no negotiation. And next we have a permissive hypnosis style, which includes a greater respect, gentleness, and support for the individual. And it's the use of any aspect of an individual's beliefs and language to induce trance. So this is empowering the individual's unconscious mind to find its own solution. And it's a use of metaphor to introduce storytelling that's relevant to the individual's life, interests, or problems that help the unconscious mind search for its own solution. So the permissive style is very much custom and tailored to that individual's needs and how they think about life and how they think about the world. So next we have a slide on how hypnosis can help. Hypnosis can help a wide variety of issues and mental health conditions such as anxiety, phobias. It can help increase confidence. It can help break bad habits such as smoking or nail biting. It can help someone increase performance, controlling weight, eating habits, curtailing the excessive alcohol use. It can do all kinds of things. But it's important to note that hypnosis does not help with serious mental health conditions such as schizophrenia, because going into a trance can be destabilizing for people with those conditions. It also doesn't help people with extreme paranoia because they won't be able to relax enough to get through the hypnosis session. And it also doesn't help with severe clinical depression for those where medication is necessary. But it can help with sorting out and relieving anxieties. So, hypnosis can help the unconscious mind calm down and find new ways to cope with current and future anxiety provoking situations through raising your self esteem and confidence, identifying the themes or patterns of your worries in order to deconstruct them, finding a healthy way to cope with a legitimate concern, seeing yourself through trance in the future without inappropriate worries, and while teaching your conscious mind to be that way in the present. So hypnotherapy can also help depression because through helping an individual understand how powerfully their evaluation of life events influence both their thoughts and their actions. And then also it can reduce stress. So it does this through reframing ways of thinking, prioritizing, and promoting relaxation. And it helps the individual stand back and reevaluate the stressor itself. So let's talk about the therapy part of hypnosis and why and how does hypnosis work or hypnotherapy work? So, hypnotherapy bypasses what's called an individual's critical faculty. And so, the critical faculty is a model of thinking that an individual has. So, critical faculty is the internal filter that individuals use to interpret the world, how the world works, based on what they've learned rightly or wrongly since being born. So, it stops messages from automatically being accepted into the conscious and gives the unconscious and gives the conscious mind an opportunity to evaluate and possibly reject the message. So once the critical faculty is bypassed, then emotions, behaviors, and beliefs can be shifted. So a good example that I found of this is telling someone to quack like a duck. If you go tell someone to quack like a duck for 2 hours, the critical faculty in that person's brain is probably going to say, that's dumb. I am not doing that. But when we bypass the critical faculty, you would have the ability to quack like a duck for 2 hours without your brain saying, oh no, let's not do that. So hypnotherapy also allows the body to relax, but the individual's thoughts are still very much attentive and can focus at an intense level. And it focuses on the hypnotherapist's suggestions. So that's another way that it works. It's like turning off all the outside influences and allowing you to only focus on what it is you want to work on. So when we have hypnotherapy and we add counseling, that means we introduce an additional utilization of skills such as listening, understanding, empathy, and promoting a working relationship. When we introduce hypnotherapy and we add in psychotherapy, which is exploring feelings, the techniques of psychotherapy are sometimes used by hypnotists who need to visit past personal history issues, depending on the specific problem. So there are quite a few tools and techniques of a hypnotherapist. There's a couple of factors that determine which technique would be right for you. It is not a one size fits all. Every single person's different. All of their issues are different. How they experience the world and how they experience their issues are different. So there's many factors to determine the hypnotherapy technique that your hypnotherapist would use. So the first one is your specific symptom. So certain techniques are effective with different symptoms. Another one is the goals for therapy. So what you want determines what techniques to use. So for example, if you want to explore the past or work in the future or a goal-directed manner, there's different hypnosis therapies or techniques that could be used for those different items. Also, your personal history. So your career, your hobbies, your likes, your dislikes, they can all provide clues on what the best techniques to use would be. So for example, if someone liked to garden, then a gardening metaphor or a story might be used. So therapeutic history and personal preference. That's another that's another consideration to make when deciding on a technique. So if someone's been to hypnotherapy before and they know a technique worked in the past, they might want to repeat it. Same thing goes if it didn't work or something that they didn't like. So your hypnotherapist would talk to you about, have you experienced this before? What did you like? What did you not like? What was your experience? And that sort of thing. So also your belief system determines the technique used. So for instance, if you believe in past lives, then your hypnotherapist might take you down this route. If you don't, then it wouldn't be relevant or helpful to you. And also your hypnotherapist's personal preference. So the method that the hypnotherapist uses may boil down to the techniques that the therapist likes and is comfortable with or knows what works best. And additionally, your hypnotherapist's training. So some training focuses on analytical approach, which focuses on the development of a symptom, and others may be trained in a solution-focused approach. So moving on to the techniques and tools. So we have both direct and indirect suggestions. So suggestions in general, hypnotic suggestions, help reprogram your mind to respond in a healthier way to something. So for instance, think of your mind like a book that's been written, and the hypnotherapist is an editor that can make suggestions on how to improve the book. But since it's your book, though, you are in control and you can choose whether to make the improvements or not. So just a little side example here. I've worked with some people to stop smoking, and it has worked for some people and it has not. And it's really up to them. I can do the work and I can guide people through the work, but they ultimately decide if it sticks or not. It's their mind. So post-hypnotic suggestion is a suggestion that's given in trance. So for you to make something happen when you are not in trance. So, for instance, someone who has a problem binging on chocolate might be given the post hypnotic suggestion that they enjoy a sense of self control whenever they see chocolate and they choose not to eat it. So, direct suggestions are explicit instruction to do something. So, it leaves no room for error in what you're supposed to do. So, for instance, stop smoking now, or you have no desire to eat sickly sweet chocolate cake. Those are all very direct suggestions. These are used if you're trying to give something up or you want to make a specific change to a behavior. So this works well with people who are used to giving or receiving orders. Military people respond well to this, policemen, teachers, those with very logical minds, etc. They respond very well to the direct suggestions. Now, indirect suggestions allows your conscious mind to explore a variety of possibilities before coming up with a response. So, for instance, an indirect suggestion might be, I wonder how soon it will be before you stop eating sickly sweet chocolate cake and start enjoying eating the right kind of healthy food will help you lose weight. So this approach induces an expectation to change without explicitly stating it. And it allows your unconscious mind to make that change in a way that fully suits you. So who does well with this approach? Well, people who don't respond to authority well do well with this approach, or they find the direct approach threatening. So this approach is much less demanding and it's more of a comfortable approach for a lot of people. And so children also do well with this approach. So most therapists blend suggestion approaches. And a lot of times, and that's something that I do, especially when I help people stop smoking, we tell you what you want to hear while also letting your unconscious mind explore the possibilities and options for you to achieve the desired action. So it's important to note that while you're in trance, you are always, always, always in control of your hypnotherapy session. So your unconscious mind will always protect you and cannot be reprogrammed to accept any suggestions that go against your personal moral or ethical framework. So disassociation is another technique that hypnotherapists use during sessions. And this is something that you experience every day of your life. So it helps you function in the world at large and allows you to cope with things when they get tough. So disassociation is when your mind appears to split into several parts and operate independently from the whole. So some examples of this would be like safely ironing your clothes while engrossed in a show on TV. That's disassociation. It's driving your car without thinking about how to do it. It's daydreaming in class as you tune out the boring drone of the teacher. So you disassociate when you enter a trance state, and enter a trance state is the basis for hypnosis. So disassociation allows you to leave feelings behind. And disassociation hypnotherapy allows you to separate the feelings that you experience from the event itself. So through this, you can examine things more objectively and alter your response to it without allowing your emotions to affect your judgment. So an example of this is mental and emotional release, which I'm going to talk about here in a second. But say you are stressed at work and things keep piling up on you and you're swamped. When you're thinking about your workload, stress clouds your judgment. You can't see a way around all of it and your stress increases. So hypnotherapists can use a technique that disassociates you from those feelings so that you can view the stressful situation as if it were on a TV and you're not attached to it. And that's because if feelings are no longer clouding your thoughts, you can prioritize your workload and delegate your tasks. So another technique example of disassociation would be the hypnotherapist taking you into trance by helping you imagine yourself floating outside your body to go on a journey to your favorite place. That's in your mind. That's another disassociation. And as a therapy tool, you can imagine seeing a scene projected on a screen and being asked to see if you can see yourself handling a specific situation in a certain way. And because you have separated your feelings from the image, you can view the situation more objectively. So the next technique is mental and emotional release. This is one of my favorite ones. This is timeline therapy in a sense that can allow you to release emotions tied to events in your life. It's a type of disassociation. So it can let your unconscious mind discover the root of a problem and the emotion attached to it and release it without re experiencing the event or even talking about it. It's very cool. So, MER, mental and emotional release, releases the emotions attached to past events and also helps you project the disattachment and release into the future. So I have a good example of this. I don't like to talk about things that my personal clients have experienced. Sometimes when I do MER, my clients will tell me like, "Oh, this is what I experienced, Valerie. It was so cool. It was just the neatest thing." Some don't talk about it at all. So sometimes I know exactly what they experienced and they feel confident enough to talk about it. And sometimes they don't, and that's okay. You don't have to tell me what you're seeing for you to release the emotions attached to these feelings or these events. So I have a good example for myself that I don't mind sharing. The people that I learned all this with, I went to California for 2 weeks and I met some really great friends and we practice on each other outside of for the last couple of years. Like, hey, I need a breakthrough session. Hey, can you do MER with me? I'm struggling with this. So we practice on each other from all over the country on Zoom or wherever it is. And one of the things that I have worked on, this gives you a really good example of how MER can help with something like PTSD. So this is a little bit of tidbit from my past, and something that I have worked on with my colleagues for myself is I had PTSD surrounding the death of a friend that died when I was in high school. He died of drunk driving, and I was one of the last ones to see him alive, and we were one of the first ones on the accident scene. That memory will stay with me for the rest of my life. So with that memory comes so many feelings of guilt, sorrow, sadness, anxiety. Like it's very tough. And through the use of MER, I'm allowed to go back to that event and detach my feelings of all of those horrible feelings from the event itself. So nothing can erase that event from happening. You will always remember it, but it does help remove the feelings of the emotions attached to it so that you can move forward in life. So it's pretty cool. So another type of technique and tool is called parts therapy. So this would be like, there's a part of me that wants to go back to school. There's a part of me that just wants to push away and continue working my job. It's too scary to change. So that's what parts therapy is. It's when half of you wants to do this or a part of you wants to do this, another part wants to do that, and they are conflicting and you don't know which direction to go. So at parts therapy, a therapist isolates the subroutine of your mind that controls a particular behavior or emotional response and does therapy on it. So they separate the part of your mind responsible for the problem. So first thing we do with this type of therapy is we become aware of the problem or aware of the part and find out what the part has been trying to do for you. And then we want to thank the part for what it's done for you, negotiate with the part so that it's happy to change, transform the part to serve a useful role, and then bring the part back inside and reintegrate it into you. This is a very, very cool therapy. This is an NLP technique also that I use with clients who have a hard time figuring out what do they want, which way do they want to go. So there's also time travel and age regression. So this is something that you don't have to do. You don't have to do an age regression to help your symptoms, but it is an option for those wanting to explore feelings, situations, and events from the past. So this is like taking you back in time of your own memory. So this can help with anxiety, depression, phobias, traumatic events, PTSD, etc. And it can also promote really good feelings and memories. So another little story about how I experienced this on a good side is when we were learning about all this, we were practicing with each other in class for the 2 weeks that we were there. And we did this exercise with each other. I chose to go back and visit a memory of my grandfather who's passed away. And so in my head, I went back to 7 years old, and I got to experience all of those feel good memories of seeing my grandfather again and the things that we used to do with each other on at the coast. And so it was really helpful to bring so not just identifying negative energies or memories, it's also good to identify the positive ones in your therapeutic journey. So this type of age regression can also help someone understand origin of their symptoms, and it can help change an individual's perception of the past. So mental and emotional releases also incorporates the age regression. So this is releasing the feelings and beliefs about traumatic events without reliving them or even talking about them. So, say you want to remember an event from your past. Maybe there's a blockage that you just don't remember the age of 5 years old and you want to know what happened. This is helpful for someone who wants to experience that. And another good example is experiencing bereavement. So, maybe a loved one died years ago, and instead of dealing with the bereavement and the grief, they stuffed it down. They stuffed it down and they locked away the emotions surrounding the event so deep inside, but now it needs to resurface in a safe place. So, re experiencing the event and releasing the emotions safely can help relieve their symptoms. So finally, we have past lives, and this is for individuals who believe in reincarnation. Not everyone does hypnotherapy. Most people don't. So hypnotherapy is really a qualified hypnotherapist is going to understand what it is that you believe and what you're comfortable doing. But past life regression is an option for people who believe in reincarnation, and it can also assist with anxiety, depression, phobias, traumatic events. And this takes you back in time to visit a life or lives that you've lived before. And some people, the people that believe in reincarnation, also believe that traumatic and upsetting events from the past are the root of their problem in their current life. So understanding those helps them today. So next, let's talk about what it's like to prepare once you decide to move forward with hypnotherapy as a therapy. What's it like to prepare for your session? So the very first thing you want to do is gather as much information about the problem that you possibly can and how you experience the problem. So this includes the what, when, why, how, etc. So next you want to look for and put together some goals. Understand what you're wanting to get out of the hypnotherapy session. For example, say two people are afraid of spiders and they want to work on this. And they experience this phobia differently. One person might freeze into place and, oh my God, there's a spider. And the other might bolt from the room. Oh my gosh, there's a spider. So they experience the spider differently. Their goals might be different too. So one might want to gather the spider on the end of a newspaper and flick it out the window, while another might want to just ignore the spider completely. So understand what it is, how you experience it, and what you want to accomplish. That's very helpful for your hypnotherapy session. Your personality and attitude also play a part in how you set your goals. So are you an optimist or a pessimist? So an optimist might set a goal that a pessimist might consider unattainable. A pessimist might set a goal that an optimist thinks is too low. So go with who you are naturally to set your goals. A goal-getter type might set a higher goal than the softly type, a personality. Also examine other goals that you have that may influence your goal for therapy. So for instance, say you have a desire to go abroad and take a nice vacation. So the therapy goal would be to feel comfortable and fine on a plane. So understand if there's multiple goals attached to the goal that you want to achieve. And as always, setting SMART goals is a very important way to set goals and to measure them. So a SMART goal means that the goal is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-oriented. And so also when you're considering SMART goals, think about the immediate tasks to take steps forward to achieving your goal, and also ongoing tasks to achieve your goal. So next, let's talk about identifying the problem. So what is it about your life that's distressing? How is your life being affected? What are the thoughts that accompany you through the day? What is good about your life? When did you start feeling like this? How have you tried to solve this problem? There's all these different questions you can think about ahead of time, or your hypnotherapist can help guide you through to think about in the session or at a later time to bring back into the hypnotherapy session. Understanding the facets of your problem in all of these ways will help structure and know what technique and style to use for your session itself. And then communicating the problem. Know that we need to prioritize your problem. So if you're coming in with multiple things, we need to look at the one thing that would have that, if it were removed, would have a positive effect on all of the others. And your hypnotherapist can help you go through the exercises of that and determining what would be the best route for you to go to work on first. And also think about your approach. Do you want to start small and work to bigger issues, or the other way around? And what problems are you the most confident in resolving? So motivation. You need to examine your motivation for change, where it's coming from, and the feelings and emotions that you need in order to motivate you more. This can assist with anxiety, depression, phobias, etc. And if you don't want to change, if you're looking to hold on to this for some reason, and you don't really want to change, right? You need to examine your motivations. The best example that I can give is that I have worked with people who want to stop smoking who did not stop smoking or vaping after our session. Well, they weren't really ready. They wanted to see if hypnotherapy would work, not ready to commit to hypnotherapy working. There's a difference. You have to have a strong enough motivator in order to make the changes. If you say, I'm just going to see if it works, it's not enough. You have to be ready for it and motivated to do it. So let's talk next about what to expect during your session. So the first thing you're going to do is meet with your therapist and create a working relationship. And during this, you're going to develop trust and rapport. Next, you're going to talk about the history, and you're going to discuss your problems, your experiences, your goals, your family history, your history with the issues, previous therapy and experience with hypnotherapy, and that sort of thing. And so this might take several sessions for you to get through before the actual hypnotherapy. At least that's how I'm working with Usawa. We don't just come in and do hypnotherapy on your first session. I need to know about you. I need to know about what your issues are. And sometimes that takes multiple sessions to get through. And hypnotherapy might not be the right thing for you. Just because you come and see me doesn't mean we're going to do that, because it might not be suitable for you, or you might just not want to do it, and that's okay. So next we have going into trance. So your hypnotherapist is going to induce trance through speaking to you in a way that relaxes you and gets you into focus. So this could be with a story, instructions, visualizations, actions, that sort of thing. And we always count down into trance. So we might start counting at 100, 99, 98, 97, 96. And so once you're fully down into trance, you're going to receive the therapy. So again, that could be disassociation, post-hypnotic suggestions, age regression, stories and metaphors, combination of several. You will always know what you're going to experience before you get there. I work with clients to create their own post-hypnotic suggestions and agree on a route. I'm not going to throw in age regression if you don't want to go there. So then you start to wake up and come out of trance. So this starts gradual. We count up to get you to wake up. So counting up to 10, suggesting that with each number, you wake up more and more, and then you're fully awake. So once you're fully awake, your therapist is going to make sure you're okay. They're going to ask about your experience, etc. I always ask people, especially if they've never done it before, what was that like for them? And usually it's not what they expected. They're like, I still could hear everything going on around me. I'm like, yeah, you're in complete and total control. You can snap yourself out of it just like that. I have absolutely no control over what you do or when you choose to snap yourself out. So say you're in a hypnotherapy session, the fire alarm goes off. You will hear that fire alarm. You'll be able to wake up and move on. So next we have a couple of therapy cousins of hypnotherapy. I'm just going to briefly touch on these. The only one that I'm familiar with is NLP, but there's some cousins to hypnotherapy. One of them is EMDR. Several people at the Usawa Clinic are certified in EMDR, and that's eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. So this is a technique that allows you to confront and work through disturbing memories using eye movements. Another one is thought field therapy, and its close sister is emotional freedom technique. But this is an idea borrowed from Chinese medicine, and it's the premise that we all have energy meridians running through us and pathways. And when those become blocked, they can cause physical and mental health. So, like acupuncture. But you don't have to do needles, you can do tapping on these meridian points. And so, with thought field therapy, there's 365 points. And with emotional freedom technique, there's only 11. So tapping on these points while saying affirmations can help relieve symptoms associated with anxiety, stress, etc. And then finally, we have neuro-linguistic programming, which is the closest cousin to hypnotherapy. So the neuro part refers to the mind and uses the senses of sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch to explore the world. Linguistic refers to the use of language to communicate externally with the world and internally to sort out thoughts and behaviors. And programming is the communications that humans use to internally create programs that turn into organized thoughts, ideas, and behaviors, and into something that produces outcomes and results. So, NLP helps you challenge negative thoughts and beliefs about yourself and the world around you while helping to create positive attitudes that free you from problems. So, NLP is a way of making changes to your experience of life by examining and altering your own communication, as well as the communication you have with others. So, next, we have about 20 minutes. I like to leave some time, about 10 minutes of time for any questions and answers that people might have. So I might not hit all of these, but these are some of the common misconceptions about hypnosis and hypnotherapy. The first one is hypnosis is magical and mystical. Hypnosis has often been related to the occult due to its history and its association with Egyptian priests who entranced religious followers, or linked by people who wanted to invoke fear or a sense of power or control over others, like in movies. Like Wile E. Coyote, he gets the circles in his eyes and he goes and runs off the cliff. Like that's where people get the idea that hypnosis is magical and mystical. Beware of the evil eye type of thing. So consequently, people erroneously believe that hypnotherapists have the power that allows them to manipulate others. That's just simply not true. The reality is that trance is a natural state of mind, and individuals have to be a willing participant in order to be hypnotized. Hypnotherapy is simply a way to help with problems. The next one is you're under the power of the hypnotherapist. This is related to the magical and mystical misconception and the presence of stage hypnosis. So, with stage hypnosis, it looks like the hypnotist has power over those hypnotized, but they're willing participants in reality who chose to be part of the show. Hypnosis cannot make you do anything that you don't want to do. So, hypnosis is dangerous. I mean, it can be if you're working with someone that's not qualified and does not understand the complexities of psychological problems. Qualified hypnotherapists will make sure that you are taken care of emotionally and will treat you with dignity, care, and respect. This one's my favorite. Hypnosis can make you cluck like a chicken and lose control. Well, stage hypnosis and clinical hypnosis, as you've seen, are two completely different things. So one is for laughs and the other is to help people with problems and with your stated goals. So stage hypnotists carefully select people for their shows based on extroverted personality types, people who are willing to do the silly things suggested to them. So a clinical hypnotist will treat you with the individual care and attention. So hypnosis is therapy. Hypnosis is not therapy. It's a therapeutic technique. So it's a tool or a complement to various types of therapy and counseling. It's not the only one that would be used. Here's a good one. You may not wake up from trance. Well, trance is not like being in a coma, and it's not sleep. So it's the place between awake and asleep. Just like daydreaming, you come out of a trance anytime that you wish. Hypnosis is a sleeping session. Hypnosis is sleep. So your hypnotherapist won't let you fall asleep because you're going to remain aware of your surroundings. You may be surprised what is clearly recalled, what was said to you during the session. And then some people can't be hypnotized even if they want to be. Most people can, except for those who really don't want to be and don't trust their hypnotherapist. So if someone says, I can't be hypnotized, it's because you don't want to be. You're an active participant in that. You can go under hypnosis with yourself. There's self-hypnosis out there. So most people can. Those who say they can't just choose not to be, and that's okay. So finally, I have a few fun photos here to show you guys. This is for fun. This is during our certification process. This top photo is me putting my friend under hypnosis. And then this bottom photo is me under hypnosis. And this was our final certification exercise. And we had to prove to ourselves that hypnosis can override our thoughts and beliefs. I am not strong enough to balance myself between those chairs, but under hypnosis, my mind thinks it is, and it overrides my body. Same thing with my friend here. And so during this final exercise, everyone did this to get certified. You had to go through this as a participant and as the hypnotherapist. And so it starts off with just a really simple, you go under, and then they have you do things like move your arms like this, and then try to stand up, but your legs don't work and you can't stand up. So there's all these tests to prove that you're really under hypnosis. And then finally, they help you stand up, and like literally you plank backwards, and people help you like balance yourself between the chairs, and you hold it like that while we take pictures of each other. So this is kind of fun as our final activity. I'm very much aware of what's going on around me. It's almost like you're in a tunnel a little bit. You're definitely inside yourself, but you can hear. I knew what was going on. I knew they were all around me when I was ready to, go between the chairs. And then to get you out there to help you stand up and come out of it. So it's pretty cool. So my certification in NLP, MER, and hypnosis was completed through Dr. Matt James and Empowerment Inc. They travel around and train on MER and hypnosis and NLP. And the certification came through the Association for Integrative Psychology. And I'm currently pending membership to the American Society of Clinical Hypnosis, which is a little bit different. It's Milton. That's my presentation. Let me see. I don't know if I have any comments. I don't believe I do. Leslie's popping on.
Thank you so much, Valerie. We don't have any that were put in while you were presenting, but of course we'll leave it open for anybody who does have comments. If you could just go ahead and pop them into the chat. Otherwise, Valerie, thank you so much. I want to make sure people have an understanding of how to get in touch with you while you're here doing your field experience through next summer, I believe. You guys can, of course, give the office a call at 210-951-3479 or email admin@myusawa.org. Thank you so much again, Valerie, and thank you guys for watching.
Yeah, thank you so much.